I guess we'll wait for a couple of more minutes and then we'll start. Okay, Green, and I think we can start.
Okay, shall I start?
Yeah, let's start. I think people
Okay,
just
great.
tune in.
Dear participants, welcome back from our short coffee break, and I hope that you can grab some snacks and coffee or a cup of tea, I don't know. So we continue our second session in politics. So our topic is the Minsk agreements, new impetus for conflict resolution. Is it a stalemate or a new chance to somehow resolve the conflict? So is the key framework for cooperation of all participant countries and for conflict settlement. And today we have our expert, Mr. Artyom Sokolov. So he is an expert researcher at MGIMO University, and not only there, also in some clusters in European studies and Institute for International Studies in particular. And also he is an expert on German-Russian relations and Germany's foreign policy. So you can also see his publications and digest on Germany's foreign policy online in internet. So Artyom, thank you so much for participation and for your for your participation, and we are very happy and to see you here and also to hear you and to hear your main ideas, maybe main discussion points. Thank you so much. The floor is yours. So please start.
Okay, thank you very much. Is the connection okay? Okay, thank you very much. So first of all, I would like to say many thanks for organizations team, for GIP association, which in such not simple times, they realized the project about this young talk in Normandy formats. I think that's very important for today, for our modern times, for all of us, for all participants, and many thanks for invitation in this event. So as it was said before, my main scientific sphere is the Russian-German relations and German foreign policy. So I'm not an expert in the Ukraine issues, in French issues. It's well, all that I will tell you today is based mainly from, well, I will say from the Russian perception of German views for foreign policy issues, somehow that. And I also would like, I don't know how is how's work in your session is held, how are the discussion, but I hope that these talks are full of respect for all participants. So I hope that you really enjoy this conversation. Talking about Minsk agreements and Normandy format from the German view, I think that the best way to understand the German position here is to see the to make a view on foundations of German foreign policy. The maybe it will be right to say that it's kind of philosophical foundations. The first one is values. A policy of values is the support for democracy policy, for democracy movement around the world. It's the support of people's rights and rights of minorities. And the second one is the economic interest, because, of course, as we all know, the Germany is the export economy power, and the main of its economy is oriented on the export for our countries in Europe, in Asia, and around the world. These two foundations, two pillars, as I think, let's make some kind of combination of German foreign policy in very concrete situation. And the Ukraine issue is not the expectation here. And of course, the situation in Ukraine and around this country is for nowadays, and it was in 2014, a very fundamental challenge for all European policy of Germany, and I think not only for this country. Looking on the things from this point of the two foundations, what we can see here. The first one is, of course, that from the values point of view, the absolutely understandable approach here from the Berlin side is to support the Ukraine as a power that oriented to the West, to the integration in the European Union and North Atlantic Alliance, as it was in time of the Poroshenko government. But at the same time, it means not only the support, for example, the government of Ukraine. It also means that the German government could say that, okay, we would like also to support some minorities movement and the movement of people on the East Ukraine is also the issues for discuss, at least. And that's make this position more complicated from the German side. And that's why the Normandy format is one of the best type of compromise here, one of the best way to find it, maybe. The place for dialogue, for communication. And from the second point of view, from the point of view of economic interest, of course, the Ukrainian crisis is also the challenge from the many sides, from the sides of Russian-German relations, because of course Berlin don't want to put the Russian-German relation on the table as the some thing that you can put on the risk. First, that's true from this economic point of view, because of course the size of trade between Russia and Germany and between Ukraine and Germany is for now not comparable. And of course, the second issue here is the gas issue. That the one more thing that German government need to take in mind. So, in this point of view, we can see that the German position here is complicated, but one thing that I think here is clear that this crisis is one of the first place for one of the first sphere for German foreign policy to manage some crisis issues. Because before, if we see the history of modern German foreign policy, it gives the priority for other players. First of all, for United States, and the second is to put it on the multilateral basis. Here, with the great respect for my French colleagues, of course, Germany plays here the role of the main representative of the Western countries. And of course, we see some activities from President Emmanuel Macron, but of course, the main things here are not in Paris but in Berlin. But of course, it's one more issue here to see how the French-German alliance is worked. And for now, it's worked without any serious problems. It's maybe one common thing to say that the Normandy 4 months became some training camp for German diplomacy for some crisis management, and I think this experience Germany will use in some other issues in Middle East, in Africa, and I think also in the Balkan states too. It's also important to stress here that comparing French and Germany motivation here in Ukrainian crisis, that of course Germany is more motivated players here because of history, because of economy, because of geography, and some other issues. It's we can see it very clear in the time of last Ukrainian presidential election, when President Vladimir Zelensky was at this time not president but a candidate for the presidency, Vladimir Zelensky, and the actual president Petro Poroshenko, they both of them were welcomed in Paris. In French, they had negotiation with Emmanuel Macron, but at the same time, Angela Merkel met only with Petro Poroshenko because that was a way to show the priorities for German policy here in the Ukraine. So I think that's a clear moment here. I think that it will be true to say that Germany, as Russia and as all other participants of Normandy talks, had a great interest to finish the crisis by its best way. And here we should remember the Steinmeier initiative and some other German activities in this movement. One of the reasons here is the refugee crisis of 2015, because the reaction of German people for more than 1 million refugees flee to German cities and towns. That reaction was somehow unpredictable, because it was absolutely new for many German people, despite the long tradition for living with people for other cultures together. And of course, the German government would not would like to continue some kind of that situation in its eastern borders, both border with Poland and Czech Republic, and that's why German foreign policy is oriented for peaceful decision here in the eastern regions of the Ukraine. And of course, here talking about German views on Ukraine crisis, we should have the background in Russian-German relations, because as you all understand, the situation in Ukraine made possible the economic sanctions between Germany and Russia, between European Union and Russia in common. And for German economy is that was not very comfortable and situation. And one of the key lobbyists here, key lobby power here is German German companies which had business in Russia, and there are a lot of that. Not only companies which are worked on the Nord Stream 2, but also have very fruitful economic ties in the sphere of high technology, in the sphere of agriculture, building technology, and many others. And one of the best way to stop this economic sanction is to find a peaceful solution for economic crisis, and that's the thing that I understand in both countries, Russia and Germany, and of course some all our participants. So that I think that it was a kind of my short speech about this topic, and I think that it's more useful to make our discussion in a form of dialogue, question and answer, than the only lections from my side. So I'm ready for your questions. Thank you.
Dear Artyom, I would like to thank you so much for your short overview, but very informative overview. And also thank you so much for delivering us the German position on this within these frameworks. And also you said about the role of Germany in the conflict settlement, and also about the role of German-Russian bilateral relations. And also could you please, could you please introduce yourself very shortly, as our participants could understand your background maybe and have more questions on the German-Russian relations in particular?
Yeah. Well, what can I say about myself? So I graduated from Moscow State University, where I studied German history, history of the first half of the 20th century, and after I get my PhD also in Moscow State University, and from 2016 I'm working in MGIMO University and in some analytical agencies. For now, it's Eurasian Strategies. So I studied German issues from 2008. Yeah, maybe 2008, but not only foreign policy, but I started from the history, and after that I came to the modern time.
That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I encourage our participants to ask the questions concerning our the main topic, and also concerning the bilateral relations, and not also on bilateral relations, on Germany maybe, and on Germany role. So guys, do you have some questions, or maybe could you we also give you the floor. Oh, wow, great, Celine. So Celine has the question. The floor is yours. You can also ask the question to our distinguished guest.
Okay, hi. First of all, thank you for your presentation. I was wondering if you could maybe give us an outlook on the Nord Stream 2 project, or maybe an opinion how this will develop in the future, especially with regards to the Eastern Ukraine conflict and to what Nord Stream 2 would mean for Ukraine.
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much for that great question. Is an issue that discussed today for, I think, for in everyday timing. So I think one of the main questions for Russian-German relations for today is will be the Nord Stream 2 end. Well, my prognosis is that it will be finished successfully. And one of the main things that that my position is so, and not another, is that we are hearing a lot of statements from the high-ranking German policymakers, from Angela Merkel, from Heiko Maas, from some other officials, that all this said that all this saying that Nord Stream 2, first of all, is the commercial project, not policy project, and it will be finished in by always, despite of the Ukrainian crisis, despite of the situation with Alexei Navalny. Because one of the last crisis point here was the Alexei Navalny case, as you maybe know, but even in this situation, which was very well complicated, German policy stayed on this position, and this project is of course, very important not only for Germany, but also for many countries in the European Union. And well, the talks that this project will make Germany and European Union put they on the dependence from the Russia. That's that was argument that was beaten for a long time ago by German policies. They said that, well, it's not dependence, it's codependence maybe, because, well, by this project, Russia is depending from European Union and Germany as a partner in the economic issues. So that's here the main point. And I think here is the thing that we should have here in mind is not Ukrainian crisis, because I think here all sides already had talks about it. But about this thing is about for now for German-American relations. And today we have the final day for election campaign in the United States, and many experts are in well, they are ready to say that, well, if Trump will stay as president, he will be hard with German side on this project. Well, I think that it's not so, because there are some red lines in transatlantic relations, and Trump administration if the Trump administration will cross it, well, it's I think not the best perspective for the situation, and I think that it's very clear for Washington and Berlin. So that's all.
Thank you so much. And we have another question from Maria Dudina. Maria, could you please ask the question out loud?
Yes, hello. Thank you for your presentation. It was very informative. I would like to ask you a question about Minsk agreement. Recently, Ukrainian politicians stated about revision of Minsk agreement, especially President Vladimir Zelensky stated this. I wanted to ask you your opinion about revision of Minsk agreement. Is it necessary? Is it wise to revise them? And if it happens, will it mean that the destruction of these agreements and new escalation of the conflict? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that question. As I said in the very beginning of our election, I'm not an expert in Ukrainian issues. But, well, thinking about your question, my opinion is that Minsk agreement is a strong paper with a strong position, which was discussed for a long time ago, and well, it also depends from the way of rewriting these agreements. What Vladimir Zelensky exactly means here, by which means by what is the concrete idea of the rewriting these agreements. And I think it's not a strong side, not a strong movement here, because, well, as I know, we have a very open text with a very open positions, and it could be do step by step, and that's very easy. As in a paper, of course, easier, not in the ground. And if all sides of these agreements, they somehow decided that, for example, this or that point is that point needs to be changed by some way. It needs to be discussed in a very very how to say, discussed for a long for many times, for a long time, with all participants. It's not the thing that could be made by, for example, one hour negotiations. It's a very strong document, and we all sides need to respect this document. That's, I think, one of the key foundation in this point. I think so.
Thank you so much for this, for answering on this question. And we also have two questions more, and one would be from Ivan Zolotarevsky. Please, Ivan, your turn to ask the question.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. Artem, I also wanted to use an opportunity and tell that I really enjoy reading your articles on Eurasian Strategies website. Find them really well, especially the summaries of the German domestic policy. So now to the question. I have an impression that like Germany and Russia and the European Union and Russia generally, they kind of drift apart at the moment. And they tend to isolate within their own realms, dealing with their own problems. So I was wondering, what do you think about the effects that this sort of process will have on the crisis in Ukraine? I mean, would you agree that the sides will tend to try to preserve the status quo for the coming years, because resolving the crisis would take too much effort, and now the sides, they don't have the resources for that, and it would be more comfortable for them just to have the thing as it is and wait until more opportunities arrive in the future. Thank you.
Well, thanks a lot for that question. My idea here is that Russian foreign policy, in absolutely majority of cases, based on the status quo supporting. If something works correctly, you don't need to take it because you can break it. So that's a very easy logic from the Russian point of view. I think it's not so from the German side, because well, I think, as I said, the German foreign policy based on the values policy and economy policy. So because of that, it is more open for some changes. And we could see it, for example, in the Balkan states. But what about Ukraine here is, I think the situation here is so that, yeah, for some years, Russia and Germany were united in the idea that here the status quo is the one right way, just because that's the way to avoid the war between in the Ukraine. For now, well, for now, I think this question is very. We can put it on the under discussion, because I think now we could see the situation in Nagorno-Karabakh, Karabakh. It's the example of the long time frozen conflict, and we can see now how it could be it could be ended in a short time just by military ways, war ways, if you want to use that word. And I think we now should analyze the way of resolving that conflict in the Caucasus, and the experience of that will be strongly affected to the situation in the Ukraine. So I think that's the point here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think Ivan is, so it was a great answer for this question, of course. And also we have the question from Nastya Kovalenko. Nastya, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Yeah, my question, you mentioned several times, maybe I misunderstood you, that we also need to concentrate on some other issues that countries have, say, like Germany, Russia, or like France, Russia. Don't you find that because we are concentrating on the issues that these countries specifically have with Russia, it prolongs the solution of the conflict in Ukraine overall? Because during negotiations, the main topic should be Ukraine. We should try and solve the conflict between Ukraine and Russia. But yet, if we're starting to bring in other conflicts and concentrating on them instead, it one, prolongs the solution of our conflict, and two, drags away the main concentration overall. So people are not paying attention as much to that conflict anymore because other countries are trying to figure out their relationship. So, I mean, my question is, well, one, what do you think about it, and whether it still was worth to try and figure out the other conflicts simultaneously, or whether we actually should try and focus still mostly on Ukraine in order to solve this specific issue that we have?
Well, I think that's a very interesting question, and formally, I am absolutely agree with you that discussing the issues about Ukrainian crisis, the main point here, of course, is Ukraine, not other countries, even if they are just in the other side of the Ukrainian borders. At the same time, well, maybe here I'm thinking as a classical realist, that's typical for Russian foreign policy school, but here we could not analyze the situation as some close situation with no influence from some other sides. And of course, talking about the concrete issues in the Ukraine, we do not always add some points from the other sides, from Russia side, from German side, from French side, and so on and so on. But we should understand the reasons of foreign policy motivations. We need to understand the foundations of foreign policy of all participants, not only German, not only Russian, but of course Ukraine, but of course French. And I think that's the only way to understand the motivation and to understand our views to each other, views to the crisis situations and all other things. And of course, the Russian-German relations here is one of the main points. Not because these relations are extremely good. It's very questionable thesis, especially for today. Maybe you know the discussion of last weeks between Dmitry Trenin and Sabina Fischer about the current situation in German-Russian relations. And the discussion was not about how to make them better, but discussion was about why they are so bad for today, and what was the reason, what was the starting point for that negative movement. And there are discussion, was it Ukraine crisis or was it the beginning of Vladimir Putin's third presidential term? But I just want to say that we need to analyze this factor as well from scientific way, from academic way, maybe not from the way of some primitive policy issue. I think so.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for answering this question. And I also want to remind our participants that after this session and after the break, we have the working groups, and also we have free sectors and also the group in politics. And you have the great opportunity to ask our expert the questions maybe concerning the Minsk agreements, concerning the points that you want to highlight in your final communique, where you have some issues to elaborate on. Yes, we still have time, and you still have the opportunity to ask the questions. Yes, and also I want to I want to mention our main studio in Warendorf. So it's so sunny here, not so great weather as here in Moscow in Russia, but yeah, very sunny, guys. So okay, our participants, the questions from your side. Maybe you have some points to highlight, or our speaker wants also something to add.
Can Warendorf also ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah. Artem, thank you very, very much for bringing input on our discussion. Maybe just to give you a quick overview of what the final output of our work is going to be, we're planning to write suggestions that we plan to send to foreign ministries of four countries, and German foreign ministry included, of course. And our idea was that probably it's not going to be 100% identical document to all of them. And we asked our participants in the work to elaborate maybe different solutions to one problem. And the solution that we're going to choose for specific countries, of course, is going to depend on where a specific country is best, right? So what do you think, what's the German kind of foreign policy leverage on the Ukrainian conflict is most? Where German government or Germany in general can influence the Ukrainian conflict the most? Is it the humanitarian help, or is it, I've seen, for instance, that the German military evacuated some of the wounded Ukrainian soldiers to Germany to give them medical help there. And what kind of strong side Germany can side in this final settlement of this Ukrainian conflict?
First of all, I'm very happy to take part in this in the creation of such important and such interesting document. Well, talking about the German leverage to the Ukrainian situation. Well, of course, the first thing here I think is economy. Economy is support from the economic side. It's not only some money, some long-time credits, for example, for Ukrainian government, but also I think very useful thing could be some economic consultations trying to improve Ukrainian economy and put it on a kind of new level. For example, maybe the one more points here is to include some Ukrainian factories in the industry field program. I don't know, is it possible or not, but maybe as an idea, it could be discussed. I think that is the one point. And the second maybe is the supporting in the line of civil society, because here Germany has a great experience with Konrad Adenauer Foundation, Friedrich Ebert Foundation, and some others. It has great experience, great basis, and maybe that's one of the way to some educational program, for example, anti-corruption and something like that.
Thank you for mentioning the humanitarian aspect, as tomorrow we have the session on that aspect, of course. Thank you. And so our main student Warendorf or participants, do we have something to mention more or to discuss in the okay?
Yeah, we according to the program we have 15 minutes more.
Okay, Celine, your question.
Okay. So you were talking about the economic leverage that Germany has, and now I thought about the many sanctions that were, I forgot the word in English, but the sanctions to Russia. I wanted to ask, how do you think that is sufficient? What role or importance do you assign to those sanctions? And do you think that we need to reinforce them in the future, or if it would be better to take them away, or yes?
Well, as a Russian citizen, of course, I strongly get some influence from economic sanctions and contra-sanctions from Russian Federation. I could not buy some goods from European market, and that's a thing that I'm not happy about. I know that I think here we should mention that all sanctions they were started in a very short time and for very concrete reasons. That's the point. But we until now we didn't have any positive experience here of the sanctions canceling. We don't know, not Russian government, not European German government, how to cancel it in a in some positive way, in a way that will be not looked as a not capitulation, but the supporting the idea that sanctions didn't work. I think here we should start it from small steps, maybe from some small steps in the sphere of economy, for canceling some short part of the sanctions. I think so, and I think that's the only way to rebuild our relations. I mean, Russian European relations in a positive way, because we have a great potential for economic cooperation. And for now, from my German colleagues, which are working in some companies such as Schneider Group or some others, they have an idea about one economic space from Vladivostok to Lisbon, and we here in expert community in MGIMO and some other institution, we are talking that, well, that's idea that is not exist for now. That was an idea from maybe Mikhail Gorbachev time, and it was break in time of after Gerhard Schröder maybe, and but now we can see that this idea, it is not that idea. It's the idea that are discussed well, and which is not this idea is not any sweet dreams which are not which will be not realized. I think that we could discuss it one more times, maybe maybe 1, 2, 3, and couple of times in some common conference, or maybe in Petersburg dialogue or some other formats. And I think that's a way here.
Thank you, Artyom. Thank you. And we have another question from Till. Till, I want to thank you so much for letting us know about this your initiative and the active, fruitful work within the politics working group. Thank you so much, Annette. And your question to our guest.
Yes, thank you too for your fruitful presentation. You mentioned the functionality of sanctions concerning the Russian side. And I actually don't really want to expand this, let's say, clash of Western values with the, you also mentioned Russian realist foreign policy style. But yeah, I can't really exclude the topic of Navalny and Belarus when it comes to this topic. Yeah, I mean, there are some debates and there's a discussion now, a discourse in the political sphere if sanctions should be expanded towards personal sanctions. Yeah, if they should freeze assets of experts and of high political representatives, and probably even Lukashenko itself, for example, or closer Kremlin experts. So what do you think? Could these means of, let's say, freezing assets or prohibiting access to the European Union, to European countries, to countries of the European Union, could this be effective, more effective sanctions than the usual, since 7 years in place, economic sanctions? That's my question.
Well, my idea here is that, for example, if we're talking about personal sanctions about for Lukashenko and his closest supporters in the Belarus government, well, we're talking about the things that it looked like very emotional, but I could not imagine why Alexander Lukashenko should go to the European Union for now. For negotiation. But if we are talking about negotiation, well, sanctions issues here are not goes, because as I remember, for example, Russian policymaker Vladislav Surkov, who was under the under the sanctions, and he officially could not visit any European countries. He took part in the negotiations in Berlin. It was one of the negotiations in the environment of Normandy format, and it was okay, absolutely, because it's absolutely another things, not about tourism or some some economic issues. So, well, it's here the personal sanctions is for the high-ranking politicians is well, it's about emotional. It's not about the concrete deals, I think.
Just short adding, it is often argued that they could ban their children from Western universities to study at Western universities. This is actually the point, I think.
Well, if you're talking about children, it's maybe it somehow changed the situation, but well, I don't think that it's where a really strong move here, even if we're talking about family members, because if this kind of people would like to have some high level of their life, they could have it, I think, not only in European Union or United States. I think this is a question of psychology, of personal psychology.
What with Nord Stream 2, if they ban this project?
I hope that Germany will not ban this.
Okay, guys, so what we have here, Till, do you want something to add, or I'm sorry, do you want something to add?
I mean, it's just not a personal question if we would like to get it banned, but just a question. My question, if it could be a more functional, a more effective sanction, something which could provide the Russian realist mechanism of working. I mean, yeah, prevent them of further escalation. If this could be a more effective means.
Thank you for your comment, of course. I could say that we have somehow abstained from our main discussion point with this direction and with these issues. Of course, the main thing is that, as Artyom said, everything is interdependent and everything could affect different issues in this respect. So I think as we don't have any questions more, we have only great views, great point of views from you guys, participants. So what we have according to our program right now, we have a lunch break, as far as I remember. Yes, it's lunch, and it's 1 hour till 2:30. And then we have the working groups. And I think that you have found these discussions very interesting for you, and also very very important in your group work, that you can somehow highlight, or maybe to add some points from our guests. And of course, we want all, and I in person want to thank our guest, Artyom. Thank you so much for answering our questions and for your short introduction or background concerning this issue. It's very debatable, yes, a very debatable issue, but still we need to discuss it. Thank you so much to all who has taken part in this, and maybe some questions to Nadia or to our student Varendor. What do we do next, and what are our steps?
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Christina. Well, we are now moving to the next Zoom room for working groups, which we used yesterday. So please use the same link as you have received and as you used yesterday for the working groups. And we'll see each other there in 1 hour, and this session can be actually closed officially.
Yeah. Okay, see you guys in 1 hour.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you.